So we're going to start here with infrastructure because it's under Prop A. And Molly Villarreal, tell us a little bit about what people will find and what kind of questions are you getting asked?
So they will find information about the streets and drainage proposals in Proposition A. And so we have a list of named streets for rehabilitation, as well as our upcoming drainage projects that are being included, which there are two specific locations, as well as citywide ditching and the storm sewer cleaning. Yeah.
And that's really going to help with drainage, especially when we get some of these big rain events, right?
That is what we anticipate, and it's really to get our system in as reliable a condition as we can have it be, and improve drainage up in the Broad Oak area. And that is really what the citizens have wanted to find out is what are we currently doing and what are we proposing to do with this bond proposal.
Okay, now you've laid out the 10 streets here across the city that will be improved. And tell us a little bit about what kind of improvements.
So most of the improvements that you're going to see in the street projects is going to be we're going to do base repairs and then do an overlay and include traffic markings, pavement markings. Where there's room, we can consider bicycle lanes and improve the drainage where those repairs need to be made as well. And then also to not part of this bond itself, but if there's any associated water and sewer lines that are crossing these roads, we also plan to address those as well, because the last thing we want to do is improve a road and then have to dig it up to make a repair.
Okay, I know a lot of people have asked the sidewalks, and they want to know where these are going to go. You're going to conduct a sidewalk master plan. Tell us about that.
Well, that is our starting point. That is how we find out what is the best strategic way to spend the $10 million. And we'll have to invest anywhere from about $400,000 to $450,000 to prepare this master plan. But that master plan is so important to identify where our pedestrians, how many pedestrians do we have in the various locations, actually get good quantifiable data with those counts, and then have the town hall meetings where our citizens can give their input, because they all have very good information because they live in our communities. They use these sidewalks. They see our citizens use these sidewalks and can I've heard some great feedback on proposed projects, and we're taking notes of all that. But that town hall process in the sidewalk master plan is so important to document that input from them, and then we can strategically get the most bang for our buck as we really kickstart this citywide plan. And so by being citywide, we don't plan to immediately build sidewalks throughout the city, but we want to look at the entire city and see where can we make the most impact right away to benefit all of our citizens and neighbors.
Okay, Matt, tell us a little bit about some of the needs at the animal care facility.
Well, we've outgrown the facility so much that the needs are endless. We need more space for the animals, more space for the staff. A new facility would actually provide more kennel space, improve disease control, provide dedicated space for training, education, more parking. We're having to park on the street right now when we have customers come by. So it's very needed, and it's something that can't be overstated.
And a lot of the animals have to be housed together when that's not really where you want them to be, but that's because it wasn't meant to be a long-term facility.
That's very true. Our animals, we would like to have them individually housed, but right now we have anywhere from 2 to 4 or 5 per kennel. And we need inside kennel space, where right now we have to house animals outside. And during the winter, that gets kind of tough situation because we have to put up tarps to keep the wind off. So just a larger facility, more modern, and something that would be able to meet our needs that way.
Okay, and among the 5 buildings that are under Prop B, there are 2 multi-purpose centers. And Jeff, tell us a little bit about those, difference between those.
You bet. As you said, Prop B covers buildings of all types, from fire stations to police stations to buildings for multi-purpose and recreation. So the first is a multi-purpose center at Alice Keith Park. As a lot of Beaumont residents probably know, there used to be a YMCA in the area. That's closed down. This begins to address neighborhood and community needs here in a variety of ways, with things like multi-purpose space, but also classroom and training space, and some additional recreation for neighborhood youth. Then when you move to the sports and community facility, it's a little different. It's a little bit broader. and has an economic development component. Again, a building, a facility that would be here in Beaumont, but it's designed to attract visitors from throughout a much broader region, from Louisiana all the way into kind of central Texas, because there's no facility quite like it that can deal with the kinds of tournaments, the kinds of Special Olympics that economic development folks hope to recruit to Beaumont using this kind of facility. It'll have multiple courts for a variety of sports so that tournaments can be hosted there, but it'll also have city-wide facilities for youth and training and that sort of thing. And while there's been no definite location chosen, I think the city has looked at a variety of locations that might complement other projects that would be either included in the bond or in downtown or redevelopment in other parts of the city.
And as you mentioned, this could be used by our local youth programs, our schools, and that type of thing. But also, this is one of the only things on the bond that would actually bring in revenue to the city, right?
It's the projections that the Economic Development Department have done show that this is likely to be a really net revenue producer for the city, paying back more than it costs to build over time because of the idea that it would bring in tournaments, regional, broad area tournaments, not just for Beaumont residents, but people who come into Beaumont, take hotel rooms, buy meals, buy things at the local store, creating jobs and sales tax revenue for the city.
All right, Chief, tell us a little bit about Fire Station number 4 and why it was chosen.
Well, Fire Station 4 is at the corner of Lucas and West Lucas. As you can see, it's built in 1954. Normally, lifespan for a fire station is 50 years. So this station approaches 70 years old, and it was chosen because it's on the city's CIP and has been for a number of years. So quite naturally, it was presented to the bond committee. The bond committee agreed that this is one project that should be looked at, and that's how it was chosen. And the council made the final decision to put it on the bond project.
And this current facility is too small for your equipment. Tell us about that.
It's pretty small. It really, really is. As you can see right here, it's a very small facility. Has a flat roof. Our maintenance cost is pretty high on it. So we're looking at building a more modern facility, good ergonomics, good working environment for the firefighters, EMTs, and paramedics, and looking at saving a little money on utilities and things like that.
And it's too small when we say small, even too small for the equipment today because our engines have grown, right?
Yeah, our engines have grown a little bit because we were carrying more equipment, more hose and things like that. But we have kind of shrunk our engines a little bit to help with cost savings for the citizens.
Okay, Chief, tell us a little bit about the needs here at the Beaumont Police Headquarters.
Well, this facility was built back in 51 years ago in 1974, designed in 71, and it was built for basically Cold War era, worried about nuclear fallout, built for a jail, indoor range, a basement in southeast Texas, 100 yards from the Natchez River. So, for a half the people that we have right now. So over the years, we've grown. It's 51 years old. Most buildings are built to about 30 years. This building has far outlived its lifespan, heavy maintenance. But, we're having a lot of problems with everything from mold to water inundation every time it rains, especially when there's a big storm. We have storage issues where we have to spread out both our evidence into multiple buildings and our people. Issues where one unit can't work together. People that come to get service from the city, whether it's training, meetings, coming to get a report, we have to send them all around town because different facilities serve different purposes. So one of the hopes that if we get a new building is to bring that to more of a one-stop shop.
And you were saying also that some of these victims, like sexual assault victims, have to sometimes face the perpetrators because of the situation. Talk about
Right, they're all in the same lobby, and they all have to register and come report in to the lobby. So you might have a family bringing their children in, somebody going up to get a report, and then a bunch of sex offenders walking around, and there's only one place that anybody can really get into to meet in the lobby, whether they're a suspect, a witness, coming to get a police report, or maybe coming for a meeting, or to ask some questions. So there's really a lot going on. And parking's an issue. The ability for the community to access the building is problematic. We got units that can't work together because there's not enough office space for all the people. So
that. 7 different buildings you're working out of, right?
well, and some of them are in different buildings, or they're in a different side or different floor of one building. We have one elevator that's out of service quite often to serve 4 different levels. So, one level's not served by an elevator. So,
and with all that flooding, mold, and as well as asbestos in the building.
right. And a significant amount of that area is tough to use because it was built as a jail. We're using the halls to help us store all the stuff that has to be stored, but it's definitely some difficult to use space. And then along with the mold issues and air handling is very difficult.
Working with a lot of different issues there. Thanks so much for talking to us. I'm going to come over here to Kenneth Raggett, who is our Parks Director. Tell us about what people will find on the bond and our different parks that will be affected.
All right, so the Parks Master Plan, of course, everyone's been hearing talk about that, was adopted in May, and they identified basically these parks that needed immediate attention on changing out the playground equipment: Collier's Ferry, Cottonwood, Fletcher, Guzman, Howell Booty, as well as Magnolia, Pearlstein, Roberts, and Rogers Park. Central Park is also located on that or part of the bond. What we're looking to do at Central Park, we put in a new playground 2 years ago, but we're looking to put in the rubber flooring, which would make it accessible for all kids to play on.
Right, so 9 parks spread throughout the city, really.
Throughout the city.
And tell us a little bit about what would happen at Terrell Park.
Well, Terrell Park, that's going to be a huge improvement, not just for the community, for the city of Beaumont, but it's really going to be a showplace for everyone. You're going to have everything from cricket fields, the largest playground in the city, largest splash pad in the city, tennis courts, soccer field, you name it, it'll be inside of Terrell Park, as well as funds to help spruce up the botanical garden as well.
And a little bit of money in there as well for the drainage on the golf course.
A little bit of money for the drainage of the golf course as well.
All right, tell us a little bit about, we see some of the renderings here for the parks. What kind of condition are some of these playgrounds in? And also talk maybe about the restroom facilities.
Well, as you can tell, some of the pictures, if the camera can get it, the playgrounds are really in desperate need of being repaired. They've just aged out. There's a lot of missing equipment that we just have to board up because you can't even find replacement parts for it anymore. Most of our parks have restrooms. They've been there some over 20 years, 30 years, and the building itself is still in good shape, but the interiors of the restrooms need to be updated, and that's what part of the bond issue as well.
Okay, the last 3 things we want to talk about are Proposition D and E. There's just one thing on each of those propositions, as well as the venue tax. Christina Loki's going to take us through those final 3. Okay, talk about Riverfront Park Extension.
Yes, so what you see here is 2 different parts of the extension. The first part is going to run parallel to the Neches River. Currently, right now, we have the concrete pathway that also includes 2 pavilions and some areas to sit. And outside of that, everything else would be newly integrated. Water features for kids and families to play in, and shaded structures. The second part would be potentially located at the new convention center. Obviously, that would be dependent upon the venue tax, Proposition A. But here you'll see more interactive play and a stage that would actually be connected to the convention center. Really exciting about this project is that the connectability. So the connectability of everything is through a bridge that would actually go over the rail. It would be an oversight, but more importantly, it would provide shade for all of the people that are lower at the Riverfront Park Extension. This bond is on Proposition D, and it would basically be an approximate tax impact of 67 cents per month per house valuated at $154,000.
All right, let's walk on over to the Point Parkway North Extension. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so here we have Point Parkway North Extension. Many people may not know the actual location of where this is, but we're talking right off Interstate 10 where 105 meets. There's already been Northwest Parkway that's located parallel from Parkdale Mall, which is just right here. So as you see, we had Point Parkway stop right where Northwest Parkway is. So part of Proposition E would actually extend from Point Parkway all the way to 105. And you can take a look at all of the land that is not developed from that area and the potential for growth for new homes. Anywhere slated from 300 to 400 homes that each roof would allow for more property taxes for the citizens of Beaumont. So Proposition A, the venue tax, is not actually a tax on property owners. Instead, it is an increase of 15% for hotel tax to 17%. That's a 2% increase. And what that 2% would do is it would go directly to pay for the brand new convention center. And we have to realize that currently today, that revenue would be anywhere close to $1 to $1.2 million. And that number would continue to increase as we see more and more visitors. It is so important for us to understand the importance of visitor economy in the city of Beaumont. Last year alone was $391 million. And so not only is this venue tax going to allow for an additional 2%, but that 2% can continue to increase as occupancy and room nights continue to increase in the city of Beaumont.
All right, thank you, Christina Loki. Hopefully this has helped you a little bit to give you a little bit of understanding about what each of these propositions are about. And if you weren't able to make it out to one of our open houses, remember our virtual open house is coming up on October 16th. And that will be at the Downtown Event Center, and you can come to the open house following the virtual open house, which starts at 6, and the in-person event starts at 7 o'clock. And as always, BeamontTexas.gov or BeamontBonds.com to get all the information you need. Election Day coming up November 4th. Early voting starts on the 20th.